Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for watching this video today. Well, in today's episode we're going to be focusing on improving the shifting on my 8th-gen Civic Si. We do have a couple mods to install for you guys today, but other than that, before we go ahead and get this video started, be sure to head down below, hit that like button and consider subscribing. We are almost at 200 subscribers. If we can reach that goal by the end of this year, that would be amazing. If you guys can do that for me, I would really appreciate that. But other than that, let's go ahead and get this video started. Alright guys, so I got a package for the Civic Si as well as a couple of boxes that's sitting right over there. So we're going to go ahead and get right to it and show you guys what we're going to be doing today. I'll show you what we got in the mail a couple days ago. So as you guys can see, we got some hybrid racing goodies. So these are for the full K series package of the spring transmission setup. So we have the gear selector spring that's going to help improve shifting and make it really notchy when going into gear, and especially these D10 springs that's going to go inside the transmission as well. I'll go more in detail once we get the car all jacked up. It's pretty much just right outside, just chilling right over there. But I just want to let you guys know these will make a huge improvement when shifting into gear all the time. Alright, so just want to let you guys know, so this will be a little bit of a job. So far the D10 springs, they won't be too bad. I would just definitely keep an eye on these guys because they might be a little bit different sizes, or they might go in a specific hole where they're supposed to go. I'll go more in detail once we get the car jacked up. Now for these ones, for the gear selector spring, this is probably the hardest one we're gonna have to deal with today, because there is a component that we're gonna have to hold on to and make sure we do not separate any components in order to get these springs removed and reinstalled, because if you do mess it up, then we're gonna have a lot of work to do afterwards. So that being said, let's go ahead and get these springs set up and get the car jacked up. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, so car is jacked up, ready to work on. So pretty much what we're going to be doing is we're going to be mostly inside the engine bay. I believe we're going to have to go to the wheel well and remove 1 or 2 bolts. But pretty much what we have to do is right where, if I can see if I can get a good image for you guys. So right where the hybrid racing bushing is, we're going to be getting to that area and removing this whole assembly. But first, we're going to have to remove this the intake right over here, and probably remove the battery and the CPU or the ECU, and then afterwards we're going to have a lot more room to work with. So we're going to go ahead and start with the actual intake, and we're going to move our way towards there. Alright guys, so the intake is off, so we now have access to the shifter cables. Let me see if I can try to find that up for you guys. So yeah, like we are going to be disconnecting these shifter cables and pop it out of where they should be at, because this little bracket right here, if it adjusts for you guys, there we go. This little bracket is we're gonna be taking this out, so that way we can actually access the gear selector and the D10 springs. And another thing too, I've seen that we're gonna have to mess with the engine mounts as well to gain a little bit of access, but we'll get there step by step. First, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to hit it with some degreaser just to get it cleaned up a little bit, because the end is dirty down here. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, quick update. So I just want to show you guys what I had to remove just to gain access to more of the cables and the shifter bushings as well. So I did have to remove the battery as well as the case. I managed to get the CPU or the ECU off. I eventually figured out with those cables. I did remove some of the intake hoses, including the box as well. So now we're at the point where I'm going to have to disconnect this motor mount. There is a bolt right here and another bolt right over here as well. I do notice that for the coupes, the video I've been watching, these are a little bit different. As you guys can see, we do have this one big bolt right here as well as another right here. I think there's one back there as well that we're gonna have to remove, because in order for us to put the D10 springs in, they're right underneath this plate right here. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Fingers crossed, hopefully nothing bad happens. Alright guys, so the motor mount is almost completely off. However, I did run into a small issue. So pretty much all of the motor mount, or the transmission bolts, transmission mount I guess, all of the bolts were 17 millimeters. Mostly I got all of them off except for one, and it's like the hardest part to get off. So unfortunately, if you guys take a look at this little small gap, right where this little gap in between is, there is one 17mm bolt that's like hiding in between this little gap, and I don't have anything to fit that whatsoever. I don't have a wrench or anything, so I can see a little bit of opening at the very bottom of the car, so I'm gonna see if I can try to go underneath it. But the only thing I do have that can possibly work is this type of wrench. So I'm gonna see if we can try to fit underneath there and try to crack it loose. Then afterwards, hopefully we can get to the D10 spring installment. Alright guys, to be a little bit more in detail about for the D10 spring install and the gear selector, it's supposed to help going into gear a lot stiffer. If you guys, this is like a pretty much a before if we do the installment and everything. So as you guys can see, right now it goes in with ease, nice and smooth, nothing too bad or anything. The notch that's right here when you go into gear, if you guys try to listen. So when we put in the D10 springs, it's going to be a lot notchier and it's going to have to put a lot more force. So for example, once we get those in, it's going to be like that. You're going to have to put as much force in. But it's not too much force, just enough to make it enough stiff, so that way it's more precise when going into gear. But it's going to be a really good upgrade. It's going to feel a lot notchier. And I do have a surprise at the end of the video that you guys are definitely want to stick around to see. Alright guys, so it is actually the next day. We actually had to put the Civic back together because, long story short, is the transmission mount that's needed to be removed in order to get access to the D10 springs. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it off because there's one stubborn bolt that's just impossible to get to with the current tools that I have right now. So pretty much I see that other YouTubers or other mechanics, they use a ratcheting wrench to get that stubborn bolt out. So this morning I went ahead and picked up a 17mm ratcheting wrench. Unfortunately, they didn't have one with the swivel neck. It's just all one piece. So hopefully this is all we need to get that stubborn bolt out, because if it doesn't, I'm not too sure what we're gonna do, but that's totally fine. If we can install those D10 springs in today, we will eventually. But my main goal is to get that stubborn bolt out so we can get those things installed today. Alright guys, car is already jacked up, ready to be worked on. So pretty much what I'm going to be doing is, before we start taking everything else apart, I'm going to go actually underneath the vehicle to test out this ratcheting wrench to see if we can actually get that bolt out, because it'll be such a hassle to remove everything and then find out later that bolt still is not going to come out. So what I'm thinking of doing is probably removing that one bolt first. Fingers crossing that transmission doesn't follow me after I taking off that one bolt. Everything else is still bolted up together, so it shouldn't, but still a little nervous to be underneath the car. But let's go ahead and go underneath the car and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So what the goal is, just to get in this tiny crack and start ratcheting that nut out of there. Hopefully it will come off and we don't have to do anything else, but let's go ahead and get that off. Alright guys, so we are finally at the part where I last left off. So as you guys can tell, or as I told you before, that one bolt that's in between right here, I think you can actually, guys can see it. Yeah, you can see it at the very edge of right over there. It's barely sticking out. I'm not too sure if it's all the way out yet, but pretty much what I did was I loosened up as much as possible from underneath the car. So now what we're gonna have to do is loosen up these main bolts here, there's one back here, and there's another one right here, and I have to loosen up this bolt to expose another one. Then this should just pop off and we can access the D10 springs underneath this metal component. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, check it out you guys. We have finally got this stupid piece out of the grit engine bay. So now we can access the D10 springs that's in the transmission or on the outside of the transmission. So pretty much that stupid hunk of metal was blocking those three exposed hex nuts right here. These are the D10 springs that we're going to be taking out, and there's going to be a spring inside, and you're going to want to replace those springs with the new hybrid racing ones. So I'm going to go ahead and take one out for you guys, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Alright guys, so I cracked the 3 bolts that's holding the D10 springs. So you might need 2 hands for this, but I'm going to see if I can try to one-hand it. So it's very important when you take these out, you don't want to lose the washer that comes with it. and of course you don't want to lose the spring. So all I have to do is just pull it out, and that should expose the spring right here. So that's like these for the other two as well, but I'm going to do this off camera when I'm installing it, but I'll show you guys the new D10 spring over the old one. Alright guys, so here is the new one compared to the old one. So as you guys can see, there is a light difference. In terms of compression, this one's still pretty good, and see how the Hybrid Racing feels. There is a little bit of a difference in terms of tension and compression, but I can tell this one's gonna feel a lot nicer than the OEM one. I'm still gonna keep these around just in case. I never know if I need it again or anything like that. But we're gonna go ahead and take this Hybrid Racing one and put it on the inside here, and it just sits like that. Now, when you install these, notice how there's a hole at the very top, or I would say at the bottom. There's a little divot that goes right in the middle right here. Once you install back those in, you want to make sure that spring goes around that divot, and afterwards you have to put in just a little bit of weight to screw it back on so it stays in place, and afterwards you can bolt everything back up. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright guys, D10 springs are now in. I already torqued them to spec at 15 foot-pounds on each of them. I wonder if you actually feel a difference right away once you put the springs in. So let's go in the car really quick to double check. So yeah, like I said before, you guys, before we put in the new springs, it was very smooth going into gear. Now it should feel really notchy, so I'm looking forward to the snappiness. So let's see how it is. Alright, so first gear. Ooh, oh my god, that is insane. Whew. Oh my god, it feels incredible. Like, it feels so satisfying going into gear now. I don't know how to explain it. Just going into gear, like first and then second, it feels so high performance. Oh my god, that feels so good. Dang, I'm really liking how it feels. But we are not done yet. We're gonna bolt up everything, and we have more mods for you guys. So let's go ahead and bolt up everything. I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, so the next step we're going to be doing is the gear selector spring. So pretty much imagine this whole component that starts to where my index finger is here, all the way to where this metal rod is right here. So this thing just pops out and it shows up the gear selector, and we're going to have to take that apart. It's a little bit intimidating. I'm a little bit nervous taking this apart, but we're going to have to get that done. So what we're pretty much going to have to be doing is disconnecting the Hybrid Racing cable bushings, then taking off a few other components, and then we'll go from there. But I'm going to go ahead and just take this off camera just because I don't want to mess this up, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, so a little bit of wiggle room. I finally got the gear selector, or the connector that holds the gear selector springs in. It's finally out. So if we come to the garage, I'll show you guys in a second, but it actually wasn't that bad to like disconnect the shifting cables and just a couple more 10mm bolts. The hardest part was just getting this one off because it had Honda bond around it, so it definitely was a struggle. But let me guys show you what we're gonna do next. So yeah, like, it's very important to hold it on the whole time. I probably won't film this part for you guys too as well, just because like this is just something you don't want to mess up on. Another thing too, I might have my hands full most of the time, so I won't have time to record it. But pretty much what we're going to be doing is holding these bottom part right here and this top notch right here. And when you take out this 12mm bolt, you want to hold this the whole time and have your gear selector spring ready. So this is the gear selector spring we're going to be doing. So what we're going to be doing is obviously taking this apart and taking those two springs out. Then afterwards we can go ahead and install these bad boys. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, so new gear selector spring is now installed. So what we're going to have to do now is scrape off this old Honda bond that's on here. Then afterwards we're going to make an outer rim and let that dry for a bit, and afterwards we can install it and then compress this down once it's dried up a little bit. Alright guys, so I finally got the Honda bond on this outer rim. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it inside the vehicle and just tighten it up. I'm not going to turn it down all the way because the goal is to let this dry for 1 hour, and afterwards you seal it up completely once it's completely dry, so that way you have a nice tight sealant around this component. So I'm going to go ahead and install this real quick, and afterwards I'll get back to you guys. Alright guys, so I got the gear selector clutch thingy in the car. it's currently driving right now until an hour later so I can torque it down to spec. So pretty much for the next hour, I have a little surprise for you guys that I'm going to be showing and we're going to be installing today, or hopefully installing, because as you guys can see, we do have a little bit of sunset brewing right now. So I think it's daylight savings it's called. Unfortunately, the sun goes down around 5 or right now, so I'm going to see if I can try to get this installed today. I would really like to get this installed, so I'm going to try to push it through. I might do a night run or a night shoot. It really depends. But while we're waiting, let's go ahead and show you guys the new parts I got. Alright guys, so starting off, we do have a couple more hybrid racing parts we're going to be installed, as well as a very special new shift knob I can't wait to share for you guys. But we are going to wait until the end of the installment of these new parts, and I will show you guys the box, but I'm not going to show you what's inside just yet because it looks so good and I just want to wait towards the end. So let's go ahead and review these parts for you guys. So I've been heavily thinking about this because I wasn't too sure if I wanted to get this now or later down the road. But since we're doing the new D10 springs and the gear selector springs, I thought, why not stiffen it up just a little bit more? So in that case, we went ahead and got the new hybrid racing short throw shifter for my HN Civic SI. So I got this in red just because I love the little red accents of the Civic SI build. This is going to go super well and it's going to help very nicely with those shifting. So you guys, this is the new hybrid racing short throw shifter. It looks super high quality. Really like how this looks. Can't wait to install this for you guys today. But man, like the new setup is going to look crazy after this. But let's go ahead and show you the other parts I got in the small box. So since we got the new short throw shifter, it did come with the new adapter for the shift knob. So I believe this is a 140 millimeter or I would say shift rod. So the max height is just about this long, so pretty not too bad, nothing too crazy. But since my car is a little bit of a track and back road build, and of course I still daily it, I wanted to get something a little bit longer and something very unique. So I went ahead and ordered a new 160 millimeter hybrid racing full titanium shift rod. Now just a quick comparison to the one that came with the short shifter and the new one I ordered for the short throw shifter. So I'm not going to touch it just yet, just because my hands are like extremely dirty, so I don't want to mark this up. But as you guys can see, you can kind of get what kind of combo I'm going with right now, and just wait till the shift knob because that's what I'm most excited for. So let's go ahead and check the box out. Alright guys, so I changed my mind about showing you the shift knob box because that's definitely going to give it away. Some people might recognize the company, most of you guys probably won't. But we're going to go ahead and go in the interior of the car, and because what we're going to have to do is remove the center console and access where my shifter is, so that way we can actually install this new short throw shifter. So let's go ahead and jump in the car and start disassembling. Alright guys, we are back in the garage. So pretty much it just got super dark out and I couldn't really film outside because I didn't really have any light or anything to like help you guys see at night. But we got the Civic put back together. The car runs smoothly. The shifting feels so nice. Let me actually go in the driver's seat and show you guys once again. So yeah, like I said, we got the D10 springs in and the gear selector springs. So now everything feels so notchy. Feels amazing. When I was pulling into the garage and I put this into gear and pull out of gear, it felt so satisfying. I highly recommend getting a pair of D10 springs, just for starters. The gear selector, like if you guys are up for it, I recommend doing it as well. Just take your time doing everything with that gear selector and the D10 spring, because if you guys have FA5 sedan like I do, please do take your time, because this was a little bit of a scary job, but afterwards, once everything was put together, it was definitely worth it, and I would do it all over again. Alright, so plan of attack here is we're going to have to remove this whole center console off, including taking off the shift knob, the shift boot, and the shift knob cover as well. because to gain access to the actual shift assembly, we're gonna have to take every part of this plastic off. So let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, so to pretty much to give you guys a basic idea like how the throws look, I'm gonna put it in the first gear and see where we're gonna start, because it is a little bit tricky to do this one hand. So right now it's at 1. I'm just gonna put the camera down for a second. So almost completely 5 inches, but it's actually 4.5 inches on each throw. So it is decently long, I would say. No, it's not too bad. Like honestly, like for daily driving this car, I don't think the shifting is that bad whatsoever. But since like 8 gens are known for the third gear grind or just gear grinds in general, so this should help eliminate that too, especially, but mostly because like just the shorter up time, because when I do go on tow roads with my homies and a couple of guys that I know, I do notice that it does take a certain time to like bang gears really quickly. So like I want to eliminate that as possible. Not only that too, it's also going to look really, really nice inside the interior. Alright guys, OEM shifter is out, and now we have the new hybrid racing short shifter we're going to be installing. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this over to the vehicle, but first I'm going to wipe down my hands because I don't want to touch this magnificent piece of metal before we install it with greasy hands. So I'm going to be right back with you. Alright guys, we got the short throw shifter right over here, and we did get a new hardware that I'm going to be using, and since this is a high vibration area, I'm going to be using thread locker on each of the bolts, including when we actually install the new shifter rod, because obviously when I'm going through gears it's going to create a lot of vibration. I'm not going to use too much because I don't want it leaking on the red, so I'm going to go ahead and mount you guys up and hopefully you guys get a good shot. Alright guys, short throw shifter is in, looks amazing, feels amazing so far. What we're going to be doing now is we are going to install this 160mm shift rod to see how good are the clicks are and to see if I need to adjust anything with the throws. So I'm going to go ahead and mount you guys up, and afterwards we can go and install this. Alright guys, so here is the hybrid short throw shifter with the titanium shift rod. Let me actually get some light in here for you guys. As you guys can see, we got burnt titanium tip. Oh my god, it looks so good. So I maxed it out to where I like it and where I can actually do it. I do notice I'm having some rubbing against this bolt right here. That's only if I try to extend it too far. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have some fitment issues with the center console. I'm gonna go ahead and check that out. But first we're gonna get everything back installed and see how it looks. Then we can go ahead and show you guys the new shift knob. Alright guys, interior is almost completely put back together. We just have a couple more bolts, and obviously we're going to be putting on the interior trim piece. But what we're actually going to be doing is, as most hybrid racing owners for the short shifter know, that it's always nice to rock a little bit of accent of the short shifter. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this boot as well as the boot brace, and afterwards we can pop this back on and it should show some hybrid racing. So see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, the boot is off. So moment of truth. Let's just get that aligned with how we want it. Ooh, that is looking so good. And obviously the way how it feels amazing. So now we're just gonna clean up everything, and then finally we can install the new shift knob. Alright guys, so we are in the final process of completing everything of today. So like I said before, like I got a brand new shift knob and I wanted to wait towards the end just because this is probably the most expensive part, or I want to say the most expensive part, but it's like one of the most expensive parts that I'm putting on my Civic Si. And I think it's like a very unique shift knob, and it's from a company that's like from just like racing specs, I believe. With that being said, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys because I'm just super excited. So, as you guys may recognize this box, this is a company called Raceseng. They specializes in shift knob, tow hooks, all in kinds of like the high-end lug nuts and everything. So for this one, this shift knob originally cost $400, but I got it for $300, so I just couldn't pass up the deal. So thanks again, Raceseng, like for making this product. I'm super looking forward to using this, and of course, getting to show everybody like your guys' company. So that being said, let's take a peek. So right off the back, the quality of the box is just so high quality. Now, if you guys want to go ahead and take a look, just pop open this tab right over here. A little bit of stickers from Raceseng, some the Raceseng story as well, if you guys want to take a look at that. And of course, we have the new shift knob right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this box to the side. Alright, are you guys ready? So I'm just gonna, oof, it looks so good. So I'm just gonna position it for you guys. So this is my new shift knob from Raceseng. This is full titanium, flame brush titanium. I don't know even how to explain it. It looks so freaking good. Like, I'm excited for this style of kind of shift knob that we're going to be using with the hybrid racing short throw shifter, as well as including this D10 springs and the gear selector. This is going to tie on everything. It's going to look amazing in the car and feel amazing while driving. Oh my god, the quality on this, it looks so amazing. Alright you guys, we're gonna go ahead and install this, so let's go do this. Alright guys, before we install the new shift knob, we're gonna install the adapter, and this actually fits on the new shifter rod that's full titanium on here, so that way we can rock the Raceseng shift knob. So I'm just gonna put it all the way down and then tighten this top nut, and afterwards I'm gonna get it aligned so that way we can put the Raceseng in the correct spot. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, I got it positioned to where it's gonna fit perfectly. So moment of truth here. It takes a little while just to reach the bottom, but trust me, it'll be all worth it. Now just give it a quick good tug. Ooh, and we are set. Oh, there's absolutely no justice of this camera right now, and it is nighttime too, so it definitely looks a lot better in person. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up for tonight, making sure everything is solid, and afterwards I'll see you guys during the day. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, so a month later, I know it's been a while since I last edited the video, but there's just been a bunch of stuff been happening. I've been so busy with work and some other stuff, including the Datsun. If you guys actually follow me on Instagram, you notice that I've been working on the Datsun for the last couple of days, but we'll save that for another video. So we are back with the Civic, and for a month driving with the new hybrid short shifter and the new Raceseng shift knob, it feels amazing. So yeah, like I said before, we installed the hybrid short shifter, including the titanium shift rod, and finished it off with the Raceseng shift knob, as well as we did the new hybrid racing shifter bushings and gear selector spring. So far, when everything is tying together, the shifting feels amazing. Like, it's very precise, it's very notchy. I really like the notchiness, especially. Too bad I can't go too stiff, just because like there is some interior trim on the inside of where the shifter is assembled, because when I put it in reverse, like it kind of rubs on the inside right here, and I think down here as well there's a bolt that's hitting. My homie said that I can probably grind that part of the interior down. I think I'm gonna wait a little bit just because I already like how it feels. I don't think there's really an adjustment that's needed. But in terms of like how everything ties together, I'm super loving just the whole short throat shifter. It makes a huge difference, especially those shifter bushings as well. So I do highly recommend getting this replaced if you guys have FA5 or the coupe version. I mean, seriously, you guys, like you can't argue that does not sound really good. Alright, I was gonna do a test video, but I feel like that might be a little bit too long of a video for you guys. So I'm gonna hold off later. I probably might post it on my Instagram, so be sure to follow my Instagram on the screen right here. But other than that, we're pretty much finished with the Civic right now. We do have other plans coming up pretty soon, so if you guys aren't subscribed, consider subscribing. But I'm probably gonna go ahead and end the video here. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video today. I know it's a long video, and trust me, the process was definitely worth it, especially the hours and days that we've been working just to get those springs installed. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.